In 1980, rare earth elements were a curious footnote in geology textbooks. 17 obscure metals with awkward names like praseodymium and dysprosium, prized by a handful of scientists and hobbyists. Today, these same elements are inside your smartphone screen, the magnets in your headphones, and the motors of electric cars. They are the silent backbone of modern technology. But nearly all of the world's supply now passes through one country, China. How did that happen in under 3 decades? The story begins in the 1980s, when Deng Xiaoping's economic advisors took a closer look at China's mineral wealth. They discovered something extraordinary. The country sat on roughly 90% of the world's known rare earth reserves. Most of that wealth was concentrated in a single massive deposit in Inner Mongolia near the city of Baitu. The Bayan Obo mine is still the largest rare earth mine on Earth. But having the ore was only the beginning. The hard part was separating these elements from one another, a complex, toxic, and energy-intensive process. In the 1990s, Western companies had mostly abandoned this dirty work, leaving the market fragmented. China saw an opening and quietly began pouring state money into processing facilities. They also implemented a policy of rapid expansion, giving local enterprises access to cheap power and lax environmental rules, which allowed them to undercut any foreign competitor. By the early 2000s, Chinese companies were not just mining rare earths, they were processing them too. The country had mastered every step of the supply chain. The rest of the world barely noticed. Rare earths were a niche market and prices stayed low. But China was building a monopolistic bottleneck, quietly, one chemical plant at a time. The first sign of trouble came in 2010, when China restricted exports to Japan after a territorial dispute. Japan, heavily dependent on Chinese rare earths, faced immediate shortages. This was a wake-up call for the United States and Europe, but their response was slow. Mining and processing were seen as dirty industries, and no one wanted the environmental costs. Meanwhile, China continued to refine its control. By 2015, it imposed production and export quotas, and later added stricter environmental regulations that forced small, inefficient miners out, exactly as intended. The result is a near-total dominance. Today, China accounts for over 60% of global rare earth mining and an astonishing 85 to 90% of processing. This matters because rare earths are not just in consumer electronics. They are also in the permanent magnets that guide precision-guided missiles and the turbine blades of wind energy systems. In 2019, China made its leverage explicit. After trade tensions with the United States, Beijing threatened to cut off supplies, and officials openly suggested rare earths could be a trump card in negotiations. The warning was taken seriously. The Pentagon and several governments commissioned urgent studies on how to reduce reliance on Chinese rare earths. But rebuilding an industry takes years. Opening a new mine is a decade-long process, and even then, the final processing step remains the bottleneck, a step dominated by China. Efforts are underway, from the United States Mountain Pass mine in California to Australian and Canadian projects, but they are still a fraction of China's output. China's monopoly is not just about supply. It is about the technological expertise and capital invested in decades of focused industrial policy. For now, the rest of the world remains dependent, and Beijing has shown it is willing to use that dependence as leverage in diplomatic and trade disputes. The story of rare earths is a reminder that in the modern economy, control of seemingly obscure materials can translate directly into geopolitical power. Subscribe for more stories like this.